Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here. Welcome back to the Batman Arkham Knight Knightmare Difficulty walkthrough. We are moving on to part 7. If you remember in the previous video, we took down the first of Simon Stagg's airships, and now we have just made our way on to the second airship. As soon as you fly through that window, there's going to be a number of enemies in here that you need to take out. Pretty standard combat sequence. There are a couple of the ninja enemies, so as usual, what you want to do is build up your combo on the regular guys, build up to that instant takedown point, and then use the instant takedown on the ninjas if possible. Obviously, sometimes things don't go the way you plan and you have to adapt. That's kind of what the combat in this game is all about, but it's good to go in with a general strategy of how you're going to handle the various types of enemies. Now, like I said, in this video, we're going to be doing the second airship. However, it actually doesn't take that long, so you'll notice that this video is like 30-35 minutes. The airship sequence is actually over after the first 12-13 minutes, I think. And so there is quite a bit of other things happening after we take out the airship. Now, right there, you'll notice there was a cut in the video. What happened was I forgot where I was supposed to go. For some reason, I didn't see this wall, and I was walking around for like 3 minutes trying to figure it out. So I just figured I would cut that out instead of showing you 3 minutes of nothing. But anyway, there is a lot that happens after the airship in this video, and I would actually argue that if you are so here's how this is going to go. If you're only interested in the gameplay, this video is not going to contain that much. Well, I mean, there's still gameplay, but the main thing is, if you are interested in the story that's happening so far, this video is probably one of the most important in terms of the story. Some very, very important things happen in this video, and so if you're following along, you're going to want to make sure to watch every second of this, because you definitely don't want to miss anything. Of course, as always, I won't be spoiling anything. We'll be witnessing the events together, and even though I already know what happens, I'll pretend as if I don't, or I just, I won't say anything about what is actually happening or what's going to happen. But this is a really cool video, a really, really cool video. We see Batman faced with a lot of problems, a lot of inner demons, and it's a pretty crazy video. So without saying anything else about it, we're going to get into it. But the main thing, the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of what happens, it doesn't really happen in like a formal cutscene. But the things that happen in this video are very important, so much so that I'm going to kind of minimize the amount of commentary I do. So there's going to be pretty long sequences with no commentary, and even though those sequences might not have legitimate cutscenes, I still think it's important to not talk over those bits. But anyway, before we get to all of that, we have a pretty what am I saying? We have a pretty similar sequence to one that we had in the last video on the first airship. So our goal here is to rescue Simon Stagg, the owner of these airships. We found out that he is somehow involved in this plot with Scarecrow, but we don't really know how. And obviously right now we see that he's being held captive, so we would imagine that he is he's a prisoner or something to that regard. Now, to make this fight a little harder, the game once again throws a new element at us. We have these, I don't want to say heavy guys, because we've already fought heavy guys. In this one, we have what I would call ultra heavies. They are these giant, massive guys that carry these Gatling guns with them. And basically, what you want to do, or what you are encouraged to do by the game, is to take everybody out and save the big guy for last. That's kind of what you need to do, because to take out the big guy, you have to engage him in combat, and that causes a lot of noise, a lot of ruckus, and so if you leave little guys alive, they'll all rush you while you're taking down the big guy. So the best thing you can do is take out all the little guys first, and then focus on the big guy. Now, you could, if you really want to, you could try to take out the big guy early on. You might want to use some gadgets, or I'm sure there's some ways to do it, but when all's said and done, I think the easiest thing to do is just follow what the game advises and take out all the little guys first. And so what I'm doing is, once again, I'm kind of sticking to my usual approach. I'm trying to take all the little guys out with stealth attacks. And what you saw me do right there, that's a little trick that I do a lot, which I've never really discussed, but when you're stealth attacking an enemy from behind, usually all you have to do is press triangle, and Batman will basically put them to sleep. And that's it. That's the end of it. Nobody hears it. There's no noise, nothing. But what you can do is, while you're doing that, you can actually press the square button or X on Xbox, and when you do that, Batman will actually slam the enemy down onto the ground, and that will cause a noise. And it can actually be very useful to do that as a distraction. So like, if there are a couple enemies and you really want one of them to come over to you, what you would do is you would stealth attack and then you would slam the enemy down. That will cause a noise and that will lure over the other enemy, and it kind of helps you set up your next attack. So you saw that's exactly what I did right there. That was the last little guy. Or no, sorry, there's two more little guys, but I wanted to draw everyone out because I didn't know where everyone was. So when I was stealth killing the little guy, I slammed him onto the ground to lure over all his buddies. And now you can see I'm kind of in a good setup because they're all right here. I know where everyone is, and that does make things slightly easier. Now, it's not always what you want to do, but it can help. And you can see here I've earned a Fear multi-takedown, and I'm just trying to get in the right position because you can't use the Fear multi-takedown on the big guys. So I'm trying to get these little guys into position to get them like near each other. So I think I pressed the wrong button there. I meant to do the multi-takedown, but I ended up just doing a regular takedown. Either way, all the little guys are now eliminated, allowing us to focus on the big guy. So all you're going to want to do, go ahead and do a triple stun, then start beating down. He'll do a swing at you. You're going to want to make sure to press triangle. Now when you're fighting these big guys, you're still not going to get those counter indicators, but pretty much every time you need to press the counter button, it will do a little slow-mo sequence. Anyway, guys, now you're going to approach Simon Stagg. We're going to have a pretty long sequence of events. I think it's like 3-4 minutes long, and then I'll see you after that.
Are we ready? Not yet. The Cloudburst must be fully charged.
You've got to get me out of here. They're insane.
You lied to me. You've got one more chance, Stagg. One.
Okay. Look, Scarecrow came to me. He needed my help with the Cloudburst.
What does it do?
No! Don't let them touch me!
The Cloudburst, Stagg. Tell me what it's for.
I don't know! It's all over my skin! It's crawling all over my face!
I should leave you to your nightmares.
Okay, this is it. The moment we've both been waiting for. Scarecrow's just down there. So are you gonna stop him and save Oracle? Or am I going to get another hit of that delicious gas while you watch helpless as she dies? How do we decide? Roll up, roll up. It's the big... Bad luck, bats!
You're not dying. It just feels like you are. My toxin is filling your lungs, drowning you in your greatest fears. What can you see? A city engulfed in fear. Betrayed by those you trust the most. Your darkest secrets revealed. As I tear your mind apart, Gotham will watch. I will cut that mask from your face, and the whole world will see the fear in your eyes. Then they too will understand. There is no savior, no more hope, no more Batman. Maybe it's already happened.
body. I can't believe how strong it is.
Alright guys, so real quick, you're gonna just fight these guys. There's really no danger here or anything. You basically just have to keep fighting until the next cutscene rolls. You can see at this point Batman is really starting to kind of break down mentally. Again, we're gonna have kind of a long cutscene after this fight, and again, it's a very important one, so I encourage you to watch it. It's gonna take about 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll pick back up after that.
Come on, finish him. Look at him. He's no better than the creep who killed your parents. You need to do something. You need to stop him. Good.
Something's changed. You're different.
I prefer to call it a work in progress, but it does show potential.
You're trapped. There's nowhere to run.
Who said anything about running?
Sir, Scarecrow is broadcasting across Gotham. You need to see this.
How does it feel to see your city on the brink of ruin? Your friends in the clutches of death? You stretched yourself too far this time, Batman. And now your failure is all but complete. As that final dying breath escapes her body, she will know you are the one who failed her.
Alfred, he's
Alright guys, so at the beginning of the video I talked about how a lot of important things happen in this video. So if you're following along with the story, again, you want to make sure that you're watching these cutscenes because they are very important. So again, this is just a very quick snippet of gameplay. We're going to make our way back over to Chinatown, which is where we originally rescued Poison Ivy at the beginning of the game. And we're going to witness another cutscene, which again, if you're following along with the story, I'd highly encourage you to watch.
What? We hurry all the way here and Crane's killed her already? He's got no sense of occasion.
We both know fear is theatrics, Batman. So permit me the indulgence of putting on this show.
Ooh. Maybe I got bag-faced wrong. Oh, here comes the toxin. I can practically taste it.
What's happening?
Barbara!
Yes, you see it now. The horror behind the glass. The monster that will be your end. Unless you pick up that gun and deny him.
Don't listen!
Please, no!
Barbara, it's me! Your friend.
You won't get me. I won't let you get me.
You will bring death to all who follow you.
Sir, what's happened?
She's gone, Alfred.
What do you mean?
Barbara. Scarecrow was punishing me. He killed her.
No. Oh, my... Well, sir, we need to focus. The people of Gotham need you.
I should have protected her, Alfred. She's dead because of me.
Sir, please listen. Stagg's files have revealed what the Cloudburst does. It's a dispersal device. Sir, don't you see? Scarecrow has the means to engulf the entire city in fear toxin. You stopped him from making it operational, but it's only a matter of time. Sir, did you hear me?
He heard you. He's wondering how he can live with himself.
Master Bruce, don't let Miss Gordon's death... Don't let it be for nothing.
Oh, you can't bring her back. Let Uncle Jay take charge. No more bad memories, no more pain, no more fear. Scouts on her.
Ivy.
Oh, no.
Sir?
Alfred, run a satellite scan of the city. Let me know the instant you locate the Cloudburst.
Of course, sir. Where are you going?
GCPD. Ivy was immune to Scarecrow's toxin.
You think she will help?
She doesn't have a choice.
Well, all right. Yeah. So again, I talked numerous times about watching the cutscenes if you're interested in the story, and that was a tough one. That was one that really kind of shocked me when I first played this game. I thought it was a very bold move to kill off such an important character. You know, in the comic books, in the movies, Batman has lost allies before, but we haven't really seen it done in the video game. And as you know, video games, they add a personal touch because you're the one actually controlling the characters. And so I don't know what it is about that sequence, that cutscene, that death, but it really kind of hits home. And it's a tough one, and it's crazy just to think that, I mean, one of the first things Alfred said was, you know, obviously this is terrible that she's gone, but Gotham still needs Batman. He's the only one that can do this, and there's literally no time to mourn, no time for anything other than getting right back to work, and it's really bad. And all we can think about now is how is Commissioner Gordon going to react to this?
I'm sorry.
But anyway, go ahead and approach Poison Ivy's cell, and we're going to talk to her. Another short cutscene, and then we'll be given kind of our new objective where we'll find out what it is we need to do, and then we'll go into the long stretch of gameplay.
I need your help.
From where I'm standing, you need a miracle.
Why didn't the gas affect you?
You are scared.
You would be too if you knew what Scarecrow's planning.
And I should trust you. Why?
Because without your help, every plant in this city will die. About that miracle.
I created a spore to counter the effects of Crane's toxin. It's easy when you know how, and can manipulate plants on a molecular level.
Could it protect the entire city?
Theoretically. But there's no way I can produce enough on my own.
Then let's get you some backup.
Alright guys, so for the rest of the level, there's nothing terribly difficult. It's a lot of Batmobile stuff. We have to get Poison Ivy to this old tree in the Botanical Gardens where she's going to be able to work her abilities. She's actually going to help us because while she doesn't necessarily want to help Batman, she wants to help the plants, and the plants are at danger right now because of Scarecrow's plot. So unlikely allies joining together. And this is actually something, for those of you curious, this is something you see a lot in the comic books. A lot of times Batman will team up with different villains, not because they are friends, not because they want to team up, but because for whatever case is happening, their interests line up together, and so they'll end up kind of working together for a brief amount of time. And those are always my favorite. Those are always my favorite stories when Batman does in fact team up with the villains. In fact, there's actually probably the most extreme. Real quick, so what you need to do is you'll see this new type of vehicle. I think it's called a Cobra, and in order to find out its weak spots, we have to scan it from a couple different angles. So you're just going to kind of make your way along the rooftops and try to scan every side of it. But yeah, so those stories in the comic books where Batman teams up with the villains, you know, usually it's something a little less extreme, like Batman teaming up with Ra's al Ghul or with Poison Ivy or something like that. But the most extreme one is actually in this little 4-issue mini-story called Batman Europa. And it's not canon, it's just a side story that was done for fun. But in that one, Batman actually teams up with Joker, because I think, if I remember, they're both like infected with the same drug, and they need to work together to cure themselves, otherwise they're both going to die. But yeah, so I guess my question for you guys is the cutscene that we saw a little while ago where Barbara was killed. So she was infected with the Joker, or sorry, she was doused with the Scarecrow's, with Scarecrow gas, and she saw Batman behind the glass. She freaked out and she shot herself. And as you know, or if you happen to not know, Scarecrow's gas, they're fear toxins, and what they do is, I guess the best example for those of you who maybe don't read comics or anything is if you've seen Batman Begins. Scarecrow was the main villain in that game, and he basically infected all of Gotham with his fear toxin, and everybody, basically what it does is it causes you to see your worst fears, and not just see them, but to really kind of throw you into your worst fears. So if your worst fear is cockroaches, Scarecrow's toxin will literally put you in a room covered in cockroaches, and you'll feel it, you'll hear it, you'll smell it. It really puts you in there. So my question for you is, you know, Barbara saw something in Batman, and then she shot herself. And so I guess my question is, what do you think she saw? Now, I think it's kind of obvious. I think she saw, in Batman, she saw the Joker. And as we know from earlier in the game, Joker is the one that shot her and paralyzed her, ultimately kind of being her greatest fear. And so I think she saw Joker behind the glass, and that's, you know, she said, no, I'm gonna kill myself before I let you do it. And I think it's really interesting because when you think about it, with everything that's been going on, both Batman and Barbara are starting to see Batman as Joker. You know, she saw Batman as Joker because of the toxins. Batman is starting to see himself as Joker because of the blood infection. So it's, I don't know, it's interesting. It's a really well done story.
Get Ivy to the botanical gardens.
Yeah, it's just one of the more complex stories in the franchise. And the thing I love about the story in this game is that this is a story that would be impossible to tell without the strength of the entire franchise backing it up. You know, everything that's happened can be tied back to Arkham Asylum. You know, in Arkham Asylum, Joker created the Titan formula. He injected it into himself. He turned himself into Titan Joker, and he ultimately ended up infecting himself. In Arkham City, he distributed his blood into Gotham and infected other people with his tainted blood. And now in this game, those, you know, some people that ended up catching that infection, now we kind of see everything playing out. And so, you know, it's a story that you couldn't tell this story without the franchise to create what's happened. And it's, I don't know, I always really can appreciate that. It's kind of a, I don't know, special thing when games can tell these types of stories. And not just games, but comic books. Because this game was written by, I think it was written by, I want to say, you know, actually I don't know who this game was written by. Jeff Johns, he does a lot of the movies, the DC movies, because he's really big on the Justice League comics, or not just Justice League, he does everything. One of the more prominent Batman writers in the past couple of years is Zack Snyder. Wait, no, that's the wrong name. I can't remember his name. I just can't remember the name. Oh well, that's not important. Go ahead and take out all these vehicles. It's pretty easy. They're really not that hard. If one happens to see you, you just zip away really quickly. Now you're gonna follow the path, drop Poison Ivy off where she needs to go, and then we're gonna have one more stretch of gameplay before the end of the video.
Botanical gardens in one piece, Batman, or you can kiss that miracle goodbye.
We're here, Ivy. What now?
Look at her. She's been here since before man walked the earth. She still holds great power, but she's weak, poisoned by decades of pollution. She won't be able to fight Scarecrow's toxin on her own.
Then we need another.
There aren't any left like her. Not anymore.
What happened?
What do you think? Man, you cut them back, built over them, stopped them from reaching the sun.
If I can locate the roots, could you revive them?
They're lost, buried beneath this concrete monstrosity. How will you...
The bigger the plant, the deeper the root. You wait here. I'll find a way to break them free.
So as a quick correction, it was really bothering me, so I looked it up. I accidentally said Zack Snyder as the guy who is one of the more prominent Batman writers in the comic books lately. I got the names mixed up. Zack Snyder, obviously, is the famous director who did Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman and 300 and other things like that. The guy who writes the Batman comic books is Scott Snyder. He wrote the Batman book in the New 52, and while most people did not like the New 52, pretty much everyone liked Batman, and Scott Snyder is really good at writing Batman. I don't think he doesn't write the current Batman comic in Batman Rebirth, or in DC Rebirth. He does Batman, he does All-Star Batman, which is really good as well. So I want to say Scott Snyder had a role to play in this game. It was either him or Jeff Johns. I can't remember. I could easily look it up, but I don't care enough to do that because it's not a big deal. But yeah, so anyway, let's go ahead and get into the Batmobile once more. And we have about 7 minutes of gameplay left. At this point, there are going to be no more interruptions, no more cutscenes. This is going to be all gameplay. So just go ahead and follow the path. In case you didn't know, those cars that are glowing green, those are Riddler informants that you can tackle and then interrogate.
The parking lot entrance.
I thought you were here already, Mr. Wayne. Must be a glitch in the system. I'll get that checked immediately.
So I really like that part. Batman shows up, he's like, Lucius, I'm here, and Lucius is like, what? I thought you were already here. And now you can see that, so we get here.
The perimeter's been breached. We have some uninvited guests.
Not for long.
And there you go. It looks like it was all an ambush. A couple drones, 19 of them are going to show up. There's a lot of room to work here, a lot of pillars to block your attacks or block their attacks and everything like that. One thing, these vehicles that are able to shoot missiles, those are usually your priority. You want to get those out of the way before taking on the little guys, because the little guys are typically easier to take down. Again, if you can get consecutive shots, that will allow you to launch your own missile strike. Another thing I should point out, which I haven't really mentioned, was in all of the other Arkham games, the first thing that I always upgrade is Batman's armor. In this game, you also have the option of upgrading the Batmobile armor. So you'll notice I have full armor on the Batmobile, and that really helps, especially on this difficulty, because you can take a lot of damage and still be okay. Like, I've gotten hit quite a few times, and I've only lost like just that first section of health. So if you haven't already, again, remember this is New Game Plus, so your upgrades carry over, but if you haven't already, make sure you upgrade the health on the Batmobile. It will come in handy later on, because there are going to be some really tough Batmobile fights. But anyway, I don't want to flat out say this, but I'm going to offer a subtle hint. You know, the Arkham Knight has claimed that they know who Batman is. They know all his moves. They know how he works. So people would think the Arkham Knight must be someone who knows Batman. Who could that be? Well, that could be any number of people. But we kind of see that again right here. How did they know? Because this is not the Batcave. This is Wayne Tower. So in order for them to set up an ambush here, the Arkham Knight really must know who Batman is. Otherwise, why would he set up an ambush at Wayne Tower? You know, that he would have to know Batman's secret identity. So, in case you thought maybe he was lying, I'm not going to say whether he is or not, but that's kind of a new piece of information to ponder. You know, how would they know? How would they know to set up the ambush at Wayne Tower? Something to think about. Anyway, you have a new mechanic here. You're going to click the joystick to do the Batmobile's sonar abilities, and you can see on the mini-map on the lower right corner, we can see the roots of the old tree, and that's what Poison Ivy needs. We need to find basically the core of the tree, the center trunk of the tree. That's going to allow us to help out Poison Ivy here. So just keep doing the sonar. It can be kind of hard to pinpoint because you don't know if it's like above ground or underground. So if you're getting lost, you could just follow my path and I'll lead you to it. But make sure you keep using that sonar ability as well, just to make sure you're not going too far off track. And unfortunately, as you're pinpointing it, you are going to have to fight a couple enemies along the way. Alright, so once you get to this spot right here, you're not just going to click the joystick, you're actually going to hold it down. So you can see we're being prompted right now to hold it down, and then once you do that, some events are going to happen.
They're attacking my plant. Protect her.
Keep firing.
Alright, so there's the objective. We got the plant woken up, but the Arkham Knight soldiers are attacking it, so we're going to have to stop them. We're going to fly over here. Pretty standard fight once again. There's going to be a number of regular enemies. There's going to be one medic, so you'll notice I took out the medic first. My next goal is to take out the big guy. Again, easiest way to do that is build up your combo and use the instant takedown on the big guy. You'll have to do it 2 times on him in order to get him down. And then from there you can focus on all of the little guys.
I need more time.
Alright, got the meter built up, but I messed up. I used the instant takedown on a little guy instead of the big guy, so I'm just going to keep bouncing around. There we go. Big guy is now out of the picture. And now you can finish off the little guys with relative ease. Again, remember the batarang move that I'm about to use right there. Really good way to take down multiple enemies at once. Looks like there are 2 guys left. Make that 1 guy, and make that 0 guys. Alright, and that'll be one of the last things we do in this part of the walkthrough. Actually, to be honest, I don't remember what comes after this.
It's done. She's fully mature. She should be strong enough to neutralize Scarecrow's toxin.
Let's hope we don't need to find out. Stay in the gardens, Ivy. I'll let you know if the situation changes. Alfred, tell me you found the Cloudburst.
I wish I could, sir, but I'm encountering rather a lot of interference. No doubt a deliberate attempt to disguise their movements.
Run a full analysis of the Arkham Knight's forces.
Of course, sir, but I'll need some time.
Upload the data to the Bat computer in the movie studios when you're ready.
Yes, sir. In the meantime, there are numerous open cases yet to be investigated.
Alright, so once again, the game's going to try to get you to engage in some of those side quests, and once again, I'm going to ignore them and just jump straight into the main story. We're going to head back to Panessa Studios. That's where Robin is doing his work, trying to find a cure for the Joker infection. And that's going to take up the next video. So I don't remember if it's next video or the video after, but the Panessa movie section is very important, and it's very fun as well. But it's very important, and it's pretty long too. So that's going to be probably the longest video in the walkthrough. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance. Go ahead, and we're just going to get all the way to Panessa Studios before I cut the video. As always, let me know what you think of the walkthrough. Let me know, if any of the information in this video has changed your mind on things, and I'll see you in the next video.